right now at 7.
Plenty of clouds and already a few light rain showers in parts of the Bay Area, and there's some heavier rain that's lining up to our northwest. Coming up in the forecast, I'm going to track that rain and add up how much we're going to see across the Bay Area.
We've got to assess how much damage there is.
Well, the street started giving away yesterday.
Damage before the storm, the busy road in one Bay Area beach town that now has a giant hole in it.
And a stay-at-home order triggered for the entire Bay Area now. So what changes? And the local leader, health leader, brought to tears.
We have lost 553 people in our county. It's terrible.
Right now on the KPIX 5 News at 7 and streaming on CBS Bay Area, a live look at our Bay Area bridges. Mostly dry for now, but that is about to change any minute. Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
And I'm Ken Bastida. Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan tracking this storm coming in. And Paul, a lot of changes just in the past 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, we have seen some light showers moving quickly across the Bay Area, which if you picked up a little bit of rain at your house, this is not the main event. This is just a narrow little band of showers that's scooting quickly from west to east. Right now, it's making its way through Fairfield, Concord, down towards around San Ramon, and that's going to be moving through. But there's heavier rain that's off to our northwest. It still has yet to move in. We'll zoom out and put everything in motion. You can see this is a very narrow little ribbon of very light showers, barely more than a trace of rainfall, a hundredth or maybe 2/100ths of an inch of total rain out of this. But we're going to pick up more out of the main event. That's still off to our northwest, and it's going to be moving in to the North Bay within the next few hours, down towards the Golden Gate by about midnight, and then into the South Bay, inland in the East Bay past midnight. But all this is going to be out of here quickly, and it's going to be gone as the sun comes up tomorrow morning. We'll track it with a detailed look at Futurecast in just a few minutes. This is all part of the same storm system. It's also going to be producing some gusty winds overnight, continuing through the day Thursday, even after we dry out. And it's also responsible for some of that high surf that we've seen along the coast, and that has been causing problems of its own. Again, we'll check out the rainfall totals and the wind gusts that we anticipate coming up in the full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, look forward to that. Thank you, Paul.
Well, people love our app when the rain starts hitting, and make sure that you download it to get updated forecasts throughout the storm.
Powerful waves churning on the coast are forcing emergency repairs in Pacifica tonight. As KPIX 5's Joe Vasquez shows us, waves have actually ripped a hole through Beach Boulevard.
Behind me, you can see this area cordoned off. This is where workers have spent much of the day trying to secure and patch up a large hole. Let's show you some video from earlier. The hole is here along Beach Boulevard, right in front of the Pacifica Pier. Officials say large waves associated with the king tide are at fault. The waves have been smashing ashore, tearing at a segment of the street.
So the street started giving away yesterday, and the water started coming up from underneath. I've been seeing a lot of people running, even on the other side of the road, getting pelted. Kids just getting soaked and quickly running away.
Looks like there's some material loss under the promenade, which is the walkway that goes along there by the pier. They've got to assess how much damage there is.
The large waves continue to crash against the pier and against the seawall. The king tide, which is a high tide associated with the new moon, continues tonight. It's going to be a while before engineers can get a full assessment of the damage. In the meantime, a couple of the streets, including Beach Boulevard, continue to be closed. In Pacifica, Joe Vasquez, KPIX 5.
Our other big story this evening, a stay-at-home order triggered for the entire Bay Area as the region's ICU capacity drops to 12.9%. The lockdown will go into effect at midnight tomorrow. It comes as California shatters new records for daily cases and deaths. In the last 24 hours, the state saw a massive jump of more than 53,000 cases and nearly 300 deaths. The 14-day positivity rate is now 11%.
Napa, Solano, and San Mateo counties will now all be forced to lock down with the rest of the Bay Area. And that means that some businesses will have to shut down for at least the next 3 weeks. Under the state mandate, outdoor dining is banned. Nail, hair salons, barbershops must all close their doors. And retail stores will only be allowed to operate at 20% capacity. For some small businesses, the reopenings and the closings this year are nothing new, but it hurts each and every time.
It's going to affect them very, very much because
You know, we don't have cushion that large corporations have.
It's terrible. As long as you're outside, people are wearing masks for the most part. I think that's the way to go.
This is the price we pay because the public is not paying attention to safety and not listening to the mandates, and we business owners will pay the price.
24 people died from COVID-19 yesterday in Santa Clara County. A short time ago, the health officer fought back tears while making the announcement.
We have lost 553 people in our county. COVID, in fact, is on track to be among the 5 leading causes of death here in our county.
Taking a live look out at Marin County tonight, it is the first in the Bay Area to run out of ICU beds. Hospitals are now faced with sending critical patients out of the county. Marin health officials reported that all of their staffed ICU beds at 3 hospitals are full. Right now, 12 of the county's 29 beds are occupied by COVID patients.
As an ICU doctor, I'm not scared by much, but I find the prospect of having a hospital and an ICU overflowing and concerned about not being able to take good care of our residents at Marin. I find that scary.
You can get the latest information on the regional stay-at-home order and other coronavirus developments on KPIX.com.
Also tonight, looking live toward Oakland this evening, and police just made a shocking bust after a series of violent attacks this month, but the culprits won't be facing any jail time. KPIX 5's Andrea Borba on the disturbing crimes committed by a group of high school and middle schoolers.
It's not just that these crimes were committed by children. OPD says these children were committing these crimes at gun and knife point. Since December 3rd, Oakland officers say a group of young teenagers aged 11 to 16 are responsible for a string of 19 robberies and carjackings in the Webster, Eastlake, Melrose, and Highland Terrace neighborhoods.
Complaint of pain, bruising, lacerations. Some of the victims have been, knocked to the ground, that sort of thing, but no major injuries at this point.
The preteens and teens were believed to be using stolen vehicles to carry out the robberies in recent weeks. They've been arrested and taken to juvenile hall. OPD calls the age of the suspects an alarming trend.
The juveniles that are committing some of these robberies are very young. 12, 13, and they're out there with groups and they're committing the robberies, and they're getting into a situation that they can get themselves very hurt if they pick the wrong victim.
Regina Jackson, president and CEO of the East Oakland Youth Development Center, says reaching out to teens in the middle of a pandemic has been challenging. She says the problem is compounded by the fact that these teens have not been in a classroom for 9 months and don't have access right now to outside role models and help.
The frustration, the desperation, the lack of supervision, the devil's workshop, all of that means that people don't have the patience, they're not exercising the best decision making.
Jackson has this message for the kids of Oakland.
If anyone out there can hear me, we've got to be kinder, not more mean, and we cannot attack others and steal from others.
Jackson and OPD are very worried about the violence potentially escalating and what the ramifications could mean for these children. We are talking 11 to 16 at this point, what this could mean for their futures and even the trajectory of their families. In Oakland, Andrea Borba, KPIX 5.
Up next, a big drug dealer bust by the feds.
Yeah, why they're using it to blast the city of San Francisco.
The Tenderloin has illegal drug prices that are low because prosecution pressure is low.
She really understands the complexities of big institutions.
The Bay Area college professor tapped to run one of President-elect Biden's environmentally minded departments.
And much more on vaccines, including why thousands of California doses are sitting in quarantine and what we're learning about some side effects.
And it can happen out of the blue in people who've never had it before.
Looking live now toward San Francisco's Tenderloin neighborhood. Federal officers recently busted a crime ring dealing drugs in that San Francisco neighborhood. And today, U.S. Attorney David Anderson announced charges against 8 individuals arrested last week. They allegedly commuted from the East Bay to push their drugs. Anderson partly blamed the Tenderloin's drug problem on what he describes as a lax prosecution from the DA's office.
The Tenderloin has illegal drug prices that are low because prosecution pressure is low. Without more prosecution pressure, the Tenderloin will continue to attract illegal drug buyers and sellers.
The DA's office fired back, saying it charges nearly 80% of drug cases in the city and, quote, rather than partnering with the Trump administration in replicating the failed war on drugs, I invite the U.S. Attorney to join me in demanding safe consumption sites, which the Trump administration has been blocking across the country. Take a live look outside from Treasure Island. Beautiful with the lights, holiday lights tonight.
I love that. Even when it's about ready to rain, it looks absolutely beautiful. Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan is back, and thank goodness we're getting more rain because we need every drop we can get.
We absolutely do. So I think that view of from Treasure Island looks even better when there's rain in the forecast, which there is as we head through the rest of this evening because we're still running a significant rainfall deficit. Let's compare what we've received so far to where we should be for this time of year. And most of the Bay Area is running in that 18 to 26% range for the rainfall we've received compared to what's normal since October 1st. So we're still several inches behind. The rain that we get this evening and tonight is going to help to eat away at that rainfall deficit a bit, but it's certainly not going to erase it. We'll take what we can get. Right now, that little band of showers I was tracking at the top of the newscast has pretty much fallen apart as it's moving through Solano, Contra Costa, and Alameda counties. Just a few sprinkles left over here, but there's more rain on the way. It's off to our northwest. We'll zoom out for the wider perspective, and you can see it showing up more and more on radar as it's getting closer and closer to the coast. So switch over to Futurecast and track that as it moves across the Bay Area. We'll freeze the maps here at 10 o'clock this evening, and that's when some of that heaviest rain is going to be moving into the North Bay, and it is quickly going to dive to the southeast across the Bay Area. So this isn't going to last too long, but it is going to drop about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 inch for most of us. Some favorite spots, especially north of the Golden Gate, picking up close to 1/2 inch of rainfall. Again, it doesn't erase that rainfall deficit, but it helps. That rain is going to be moving through the Golden Gate as we head towards about 11 o'clock midnight. We'll be tracking it for you, and then moving farther off to the east and southeast as we head past midnight. So the heaviest rain falling in the Tri-Valley, the Santa Clara Valley, probably around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then it mostly moves off to the east even before the sun comes up early Thursday morning. A few showers, a couple little blips of green here. Radar freckles basically left over early tomorrow, but for most of the day on Thursday, we're going to see a mix of clouds and sunshine, and still some breezy conditions. Gusty winds are going to accompany the rain as it moves in, and those winds are still going to be gusty even once the rain moves out. It's going to be a windy day on Thursday with widespread gusts in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range. Futurecast even indicating some gusts approaching 40 miles an hour, and that will get you attention. Also try to move you around on the road a little bit, especially if you drive a higher profile vehicle. Let's look outside right now. There's that view again from Treasure Island towards downtown. Temperatures have changed very little over the past few hours, thanks to that blanket of clouds overhead. Upper 40s in Santa Rosa. Everybody else is in the low to mid 50s, and we're not going to cool off that much as we head through the rest of the night. We'll end up in the 40s to around 50 degrees to start the day, with those clouds still hanging out in the area as we start the day on Thursday, but then moving away to that mix of clouds and sunshine. So we'll end up either near average or about 5 degrees above normal for this time of year. Mid 50s along the coast, upper 50s around the South Bay and in the Santa Clara Valley. Clouds lingering just a little bit longer for the Santa Clara Valley, which is why your temperatures will struggle to reach up to even close to 60 degrees. Better chance of hitting 60 in parts of the Tri-Valley, but mostly upper 50s. Right around the upper 50s to near 60 degrees for the Central Bay and the North Bay, with slightly cooler conditions farther north for Mendocino and Lake counties by Thursday afternoon. Warmer weather is on the way over the weekend, low to mid 60s inland, including for the first day of winter on Monday, with low 60s around the bay and mid to upper 50s along the coast. We'll be tracking that rain as it moves through, some heavier rain by 11 o'clock. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Paul. Well, here's a look at your top headlines. Looking live at Capitol Hill, lawmakers are still working on a $900 billion COVID relief package. That may include a new round of direct payments for many Americans.
The American people need more help. It's that simple.
This won't be the last time Congress speaks on COVID relief.
President-elect Joe Biden has been hinting that even more action may be needed once he takes office next month. Biden is set to nominate UC Berkeley professor Jennifer Granholm as his energy secretary. She currently teaches clean energy and government policy at Cal, but she also served 2 terms as governor of Michigan, where she helped Michigan's auto industry during the Obama administration.
She really understands the complexities of big institutions, and the Department of Energy has 14,000 employees, and it's right at the center of the Biden-Harris agenda.
In less than 24 hours, an FDA expert panel will review Moderna's coronavirus vaccine. The FDA may then authorize emergency approval as early as Friday. If all goes well, 20 million doses of the Moderna vaccine could be delivered to the U.S. by the end of the month. And thousands of Pfizer's COVID vaccines are being held in quarantine in California and Alabama tonight. This after a member of Operation Warp Speed says several trays of the vaccine became too cold during transport. They have been returned to Pfizer to be replaced. And Ken, the FDA is now working with Pfizer and the CDC to determine if the returned doses are still safe to be used.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Coming up next, vaccinations are finally here. So what are the side effects that some people are experiencing?
It means that your body actually is probably mounting a really robust immune response.
Nobody was able to take his route. So for a few days there wasn't service in this area.
There's no denying that. It's sporadic.
Plus, the problems piling up tonight for Bay Area postal workers and possibly your packages. Then later, the brave athletes taking on what they call the greatest endurance expedition in history, redoing the Donner Party Trek. Little reality check tonight as frontline workers in the Bay Area get their first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. We are learning about more possible side effects. According to the FDA, they include fatigue, headache, and muscle pain. The reactions could last a day or so, and they're more likely after the second dose and occurring in younger people. But one Bay Area doctor says the side effects really aren't necessarily a bad thing.
Means that your body actually is probably mounting a really robust immune response. It can happen out of the blue in people who've never had it before.
Now, the CDC is recommending that individuals suffering from allergies still get vaccinated, but remain monitored for at least 30 minutes after they receive the shot.
With 9 days until Christmas, the U.S. Postal Service is experiencing big delays getting packages delivered. The Postal Service is struggling to keep pace with all the holiday shipments, plus unprecedented online shopping orders. And the pandemic is making it even harder to cover delivery shifts when workers get sick.
Nobody was able to take his route. So for a few days there wasn't service in this area, and then it just piled up and it waited for him. The talk has been a lot of frustration.
Well, we're just like other employers that we have to be cognizant of the fact that you may have a case, and we do have those. There's no denying that. It's sporadic.
Coming up next, the brave athletes reliving one infamous High Sierra expedition. Right now, a team of distance runners is recreating an infamous High Sierra trek. They are following in the footsteps of the group that tried to save the stranded Donner Party in 1846. That group of 17 from the main group set out on snowshoes in a desperate attempt to get help for the others still trapped at Donner Lake. Only 7 of those people survived. Now, on the 174th anniversary, 4 ultra runners are embarking on that same journey.
But there are a number of places where we go across private land and have sought permission. And where we have permission, we'll cross it, and where we don't, we'll go around. So we won't be able to completely do the accurate course simply because there's a lot of modern interruptions now.
Well, some modern conveniences, too. They have all the gear necessary and plenty of food, but the team will hike 10 to 35 miles a day over 5 or 6 days.
Sounds like fun. I can think of other ways to spend.
And a storm is on the way tonight.
Oh, I can't wait. Thank you for watching. The news continues streaming on CBS Bay Area.